Bonjour. C'est avec grand plaisir que je vous souhaite la bienvenue dans notre belle école Saint-Dominique. For those who do not know me, I am Michel Fortier, principal of École Saint-Dominique. It is with great pride that we are welcoming Mitzi Hunter, Minister of Education, Monsieur Glenn Thibault, member of our Parliament in Sudbury, and all guests and visitors to our great French Catholic school. A few minutes ago, we had the pleasure of offering a personalized tour to Minister Hunter and Monsieur Thibault, in which we showcased a new well-being initiative that has been put in place in our school, focusing on developing student resiliency by giving them mechanisms to better manage stress and emotions. Dans le cadre de la vision du bien-être du Conseil, l'École Saint-Dominique prend tous les moyens pour que nos élèves se sentent compris, aimés et valorisés. C'est ainsi que nous insistons à leur offrir un milieu d'apprentissage accueillant, engageant, sain et sécuritaire. Our school strongly supports the minister's efforts in promoting well-being in Ontario schools, since students who have strong relationships and a positive sense of self are in a better position to reach their full potential. Nous sommes choyés, Madame Hunter, de vous accueillir chez nous. Bienvenue.
I think so. So yes.
Just a little story before I start. Mr. Thibault's office is almost right in my front yard. Every morning when I walk outside, I grab a little pebble and I toss it in his window, hoping he'll invite me for a coffee. It hasn't happened yet, so maybe I'll grab a bigger pebble. So you'll bear with me. I just had corneal transplant, so. Alors, c'est un honneur pour moi de vous présenter M. Glenn Thibault. M. Thibault a été élu député provincial pour la circonscription de Sudbury en 2015, suivi par sa nomination comme ministre de l'Énergie. Il a aussi été député fédéral pour Sudbury. As we welcome you all in one of our French Catholic schools, I would like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Thibault for his continued support to our Franco-Ontarian community. Nous apprécions votre désir d'appuyer et de soutenir les efforts des familles de vivre dans une communauté francophone dynamique et d'offrir une éducation francophone catholique de qualité à leurs enfants. In his real life before politics, Mr. Thibault had accomplished outstanding work as an executive director for Centraide United Way. Your support towards many community agencies is surely an asset as you work with every group and agency to make Sudbury a greater place. Monsieur Thibault.
Thanks. Welcome. Merci. So now I know why you had to go before me, because you're introducing me. So. Mais merci et bonjour tout le monde, bonjour étudiants. Et maintenant, j'apprends le français parce que toute ma famille parle français et pour moi, c'est très important pour apprendre français. Donc, je pratique chaque semaine et chaque jour dans mon bureau. Mais aujourd'hui, est-ce que tu corriges moi? Parce que je pense... I make a few mistakes every once in a while. Donc, je continuerai en français et merci pour aider-moi aujourd'hui. Et donc, je donne mon intro à la ministre en français un petit peu. Je suis fier de progrès réalisés par notre gouvernement pour fournir nos conseils scolaires les ressources éducatives spéciales besoin pour soutenir les succès de tous nos étudiants. So Ontario is investing $22 million in special education supports in the north. And this funding provides school boards with additional special education resources, which may include behavioral supports, psychoeducational services, mental health supports, speech and language pathology services, and other paraprofessional services. Cet avancement bénéficieront les étudiants et leurs familles pour des années. Et maintenant, je suis fier d'introduire Mitzi Hunter, le ministre de Education. It's my pleasure to introduce Mitzi Hunter, the Minister of Education for Ontario.
Bonjour tout le monde. It's really wonderful for me to be here in Sudbury. Hello, bonjour. I want to acknowledge that Sudbury is located on the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples dating back countless generations. I want to show respect for them and acknowledge their important contribution and show respect for the role of treaty making in what is now Ontario. Hundreds of years after these treaties were signed, they are relevant to all of us today. So, merci Michel pour votre excellente présentation. It's just plaisir. It was grand plaisir. J'aimerais remercier Madame Potier de si belle école à l'école élémentaire catholique aujourd'hui. And bonjour les élèves. Fabulous. I am honored to be here today in Northern Ontario to speak to you on behalf of the Ministry of Education. Pour vous parler au nom du ministère de l'Éducation, one of the great pleasures that I have of being Minister of Education is getting to spend time with our bright and inspiring young people. I'm sure you can see why, and just being here today. Along with the wonderful welcome to this beautiful school, I had the opportunity to visit Carole Barbeau's classroom, and how beautiful was it to smell the flowers. La fleur tulipe, my favorite. So, merci beaucoup. Ça me fait toujours plaisir de dire que l'Ontario a l'un des meilleurs systèmes d'éducation financés par les fonds publics au monde. Je suis fière de notre système d'education. In fact, this month, I was very proud to announce that Ontario's graduation rates had reached a historic high. In 2016, the high school graduation rate reached 86.5% in Ontario. Historic achievement. And that percentage point it's 1 percentage point over the previous year, and more than 18 percentage points compared to 2004, when just 2/3 of students were graduating. However, the grad rate isn't just about numbers. It's about the future success and well-being of our young people. But these young people also need support, and I know you know that at Saint-Dominique. Young people need support. Without sufficient resources and investments, our school system could not achieve the results that it currently does. In order to achieve the best results for students in northern boards, it requires ongoing dialogue with communities to understand their needs. Do you agree? We need to talk to each other. So that is why my colleague, Bruce Rodriguez, the Deputy Minister of Education, will travel to Thunder Bay in June to meet with northern boards, with education leaders, district school boards, and some of their education partners, including Seven Generation, Lakehead University, and Confederation College, along with leaders from the health sector as well as the business community. They will share ideas and they will listen to issues relating to Northern students. They will visit local schools and local communities, and the impact of working collectively is indeed powerful. They are looking forward to seeing, to listening, and learning in the interests of students and youth here in the North. And so, I am honored to be here today with my amazing colleague, Glenn Thibault. He is such a wonderful and powerful voice for Northern Ontario at Queen's Park. And I just want to say thank you, Glenn, for all the work that you do. I'm here today to share with you how our government is increasing its investment for students across schools in this great province, and especially here in the North. I visited schools in the North in January of this year to understand what those unique needs are. You notice I went in January. I visited St. Mary's College, the Urban Aboriginal School, and École Notre-Dame de Sault in Sault Ste. Marie, the Lakehead Adult Education Center in Thunder Bay, and the Sioux Mountain Public School, as well as Pelican Falls First Nations High School in Sioux Lookout. I met with students at the Urban Aboriginal School in Sault Ste. Marie, and I saw how the school is incorporating First Nations and Indigenous culture into the curriculum as well as the classroom, and how students were clearly feeling as if they belonged in that school. I saw young people with diverse and unique needs who were in a program that met their needs and enabled them to work on community gardening programs as well as in a community hub. At a round table, I listened to boards, Indigenous leaders, community partners about their needs and better ways that we must support students in the North. So I recognize that school boards operating in the North have unique challenges around distance, geography, and transportation, and that these challenges especially impact supporting students with special needs. So today, I am happy to announce that Ontario is investing $22 million in special education supports. Over $13 million of this amount is being provided to Northern school boards. And this includes an annual $7 million in investments in special education supports through the new Northern Support Initiative. In addition, it includes $11 million in additional special education grant funding to support French language school boards. The ministry will increase special education funding by $15 million. Again, recognizing that boards operating in remote and rural communities and/or in minority language contexts have unique challenges in supporting students with special education needs. This funding provides school boards with additional special education resources. And the funding can be used for resources such as behavioral supports, psychoeducational supports and services, mental health supports, speech-language pathology supports, and paraprofessional services. And the other component of this $22 million investment is a $15 million increase the province is making to the special education grant, with over $13 million of this investment dedicated to Northern boards. Chair, I hope you've seen that I have listened, because I know I have talked to the boards and the directors of education in the North, and they told me you made a very strong case as to why this is needed, and we've listened. This funding will benefit approximately 20,000 students with special education needs in 22 boards in Northern and rural Ontario. In fact, Conseil Scolaire Catholique de Nouvelle Ontario will receive almost $1 million in additional funding as a result. So I'm confident that this increased special education funding will further strengthen the education system here in the North. And this is for the benefit of all of our students. When I visit the North, I am struck by the curiosity and the passion of our students. I was in Sioux Mountain at the Sioux Mountain Public School, and of course I went to all 4 kindergarten classrooms. And you know, it's wonderful to see students who are engaged in their learning, and that school is a safe and welcoming place for all of our students, regardless of their backgrounds, and that they were learning in an environment that had specialized supports right inside the classroom, meeting the needs of all of our students. All students should have the opportunity to succeed. Il faut donner à tous les élèves la possibilité de réussir. If we remain committed to these ideals, we can raise our education system to even greater heights. On behalf of the Government of Ontario, thank you for having me here today. Thank you, merci, and miigwech. I'm happy to take questions if there are any from the media.
Podium's probably best.
Podium's best? Okay.
Yep. Are there any questions?
Can you tell us concretely what it will impact, the impact from the north?
So this is an increased amount that will be provided to the school boards, to 22 school boards, to allow them to provide services for special education needs for students. So that could be classroom supports right inside the classroom. It could be additional supports that are needed in the schools. So the boards will work together to identify what those needs are, and knowing that they have the resources to respond.
What are the main differences that you can see from North and the rest of the province?
Well, when I visit schools in the north, or I speak with school leaders, what they tell me is that we have to respond in particular to the mental health support needs of students that require that level of support. I've had roundtable discussions where concerns have been raised in that area, working with coordinated resources through our mental health leads, our mental health assist, making sure that we have extra supports. I've heard from school leaders the need to further support outcomes for students to complete their high school education, and making sure that those resources are in the school, working along with the students. So we wanted to create the Northern Support Fund so that the boards can tap into those additional resources.
One thing that's always a big issue in the north is concerns that schools are going to close, and there's a lot of people, especially in the Sudbury area, who are concerned about that. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, I know that any closure is a very difficult decision for a school board. It's probably one of the toughest decisions that a board will have to make. But we recognize that the school boards at the local level, they are looking for how can we provide the best educational outcome for our students, and what is the configuration that is required in order to deliver that. I know that they're very mindful of issues such as transportation and distance, which is one of the reasons why we have the Northern Ontario Fund that is now in place, so that boards have more flexibility in making those choices as they move forward. So when the board decides that they need to do a review, we have guidelines in place for them to do that, having meaningful discussions with the community, with their coterminous boards. That's also a very important conversation we want our school boards to be having, so that we can maintain schools in communities in the best possible way, and of course getting input from students and from parents as well.
What about talk of turning some of the older schools into community hubs?
And that's a fantastic opportunity that we also have. We've put a fund in place, a $50 million fund in place for communities to work together to develop community hubs as an opportunity. And that allows that school facility to continue to be used for public use, but perhaps with other partners at the table. So school boards do need to work together with their local municipalities, and whatever tier that is, as well as with potentially other partners in the community to identify where those community hubs opportunities are. If they require the funding is in place as well. We also see schools as natural community hubs, and in this year's GSN, the Grants for Student Needs, we provided more funding so that that school boards can have that flexibility to have community use of space, for instance. We've added more resources there for boards. Do you want to say something, Andre?
I'm pleased. No, I'm just
You're good? Okay.
As one of the group here.
Okay.
I'm pleased that you've chosen École Saint-Dominique to come make your announcement.
Yeah.
And on behalf of all my colleagues on the board, I'd just like to say that once again we are very pleased that you listened to the plight of the Northern school boards, and once again you've come through for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Plaisir.
When you heard from the Northern School Boards, what were the things that stood out to you unique to Northern Ontario?
Some of the aspects that I heard from Northern school leaders, so the chairs of the board, the directors of education, is the need to provide more resources for considerations for geography, for distance, for transportation. I remember very clearly that they want more supports in schools to assist students in completing their high school education and to graduating successfully. When I had the roundtable conversation in Sioux Lookout, one of the focus areas was on mental health and having that type of support available as resources in the schools. So we want to ensure that our northern boards have that flexibility, and that's what this fund will be there to provide, to meet those additional needs so they can bring those resources right into the schools. Thank you.
Do we know how much is being allocated to the other school boards aside from CSA?
Well, I know I found the number because I thought you'd like to know what the number was here, but it will be distributed according to our formula across all of the 22 boards.